As usual, before we start our podcast today, importantly, we'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting.
The Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay our respects to the elders past and present and emerging.
And this one particular fellow at the end of the group, I think we were sharing some things around cars or mechanics. He said to me, "Oh, you know, Janine, when I first met you, I thought you were an educated bitch." and I actually said to him, "Oh, I've never been called educated before."
Welcome to Inward Changing, and today...
Inward Changing?
Inward Changing. Inward Changing is wrong. I'm looking at the
What
title.
podcast are you doing today?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got so many.
Have you got others?
Yeah,
You're doing
I have.
another
I have
podcast with somebody
I got
else?
them up the wazoozy.
Oh, my goodness. We can't have them up there. What are they doing up there?
Well, welcome to Inward Journey Podcast, and my name is Kevin, and I'm here with...
Janine, this would be me. And today we're going to talk about accepting change. We thought this would be a bit interesting and a bit... What did we think?
We don't accept it. It's not acceptable. We thought it would. We'd been talking about it. We've just been editing the one that we just published today, and we were talking about change. Why were we talking about?
Well, can you do the... in NA, you do the change...
Thing.
What is it? The little speechy thing, which I think is amazing. And
You mean the prayer?
oh my gosh, I don't know what it is.
No, so everybody says it's a prayer. I'm not sure if it is. Do you know, nobody knows who wrote it.
But it's
We'll
really
probably
important.
get thousands of people saying. It's because it's been labelled the Serenity Prayer.
Yeah.
And so it goes, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to accept the things I can, and most importantly, wisdom to know the difference. That's what we were talking about, wisdom to know the difference.
And I think that's where a lot of people can not realise. I think that's where a lot of people cannot realise that they actually have to do some work. The wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's easy to think, oh, I'm not changing anything else but me, and I'm not working on anything else, but unconsciously we can be working on behalf of other people, and we can be anxiously, angrily trying to change them.
Yeah, I think after all this time I can still have thoughts of, they're okay, but it need a little bit of tuning up here and there. We'll see how we go. And particularly in Narcotics Anonymous. So we have a sponsorship sort of thing in there. So it's really meant for both people, but it's a one-on-one.
Yeah.
There's a sponsor and a sponsee.
Yeah.
And really all the sponsor is there for is a witness and a guide. A witness just to listen to what the person's been writing about, reading, what they think about it, what they found difficult, and a guide only when they get stuck or if they're clearly going off track or something like that. So you might, rather than tell them what to do, you might just sort of say, hey, this was my experience. Yeah.
That's what I think true friendship can be about, is having that guide or that person to say, well, I think you're a bit off track there, and that person who holds you accountable or lovingly just goes, what are you up to? What's this about?
So in sponsorship, at least in NA, it happens in all the 12-step programs, I guess, but I can't speak for them. In Narcotics Anonymous, it's like, your sponsor isn't necessarily your friend. Maybe at some point. It certainly isn't your banker, your counsellor, it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
You're there for a particular purpose, and when you get together, whether it's face-to-face and you're doing some work, or whether it's your sponsee's phoned up to say, look, I'm struggling with this, it's on that level. It's not... and
it's official role, it sounds like, around support.
It's not that... It's kind of official and formal, and yet it's not.
Yeah, okay.
So the bit that you said about caring...
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess different sponsors do it different ways. I'm certainly not going to beat them up or criticise them in any way, including if they relapse.
Yeah. Okay.
That's not what I'm there for. I'm not there to judge them in any way.
Oh, you're talking about when you're in a sponsor role?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, so that sounds like it's an official setup around supporting people,
Yeah.
and this is how the way we do it. But I was thinking, if we've got friendships that actually do that, I think if we've got friendships that actually are supportive, that look after and love one another the ways we can and could be, then we don't need counselling positions and we don't need group therapy. And have I just done myself out of a job?
Yep. Bye. Thanks.
No, but it's an official healing thing, because if you don't
Guys,
have
did you hear that?
those places where you would go and heal all that. Okay, just forget I said it. Forget I said it.
Now you've just done the whole world out of, well, I think it's currently 4,000 religions, as well as therapy. We're on a roll.
Well, I was going to say friendship, religion, families.
Politics, that would be good. Whoops.
Where were we going with this, Kevin?
I don't know. We were talking about wisdom to know the difference. We were talking about change. Why did we go down there? Because it's not my job to actually grab hold of a sponsee, or as a sponsee to grab hold of my sponsor, either way, and say, fix me or I'll fix you. That isn't what I'm there for. Doesn't matter if I can see where things are going really wrong. That's not what it's about.
How does it work in life then?
So I was just going to say that if I extrapolate that, then what I try to do, and I stress the word try, is to be aware that I'm wanting to change somebody. I'm judging them and I don't like what they're doing, or I love them and I think that what they're doing is not necessarily right for them.
Yep.
And if invited, I might give them some advice or an example from my own life. Uninvited, I don't think that that's a good idea.
Yeah, okay.
And an obvious objection to that is, what about a lover? What about a really close friend? What about your daughter? And I think it applies there too.
Okay.
Yeah.
The amount of times that I've had somebody ring me up for wanting counselling for somebody else, for their friend or for a family member, because they're really worried about this person. You're going to spit your tea, aren't you?
No, it's just funny. Yeah, I probably would if I didn't stop drinking. Yeah.
So, yeah, they've rung up many a times and just saying, can I make an appointment for this person? And I will regularly say,
hey, hello, Janine, I hate my mum. Can I bring her over there so you can fix her?
oh, no, they've said it in really polite ways, but same.
Oh,
yes. Same sort of thing. Mum needs some work.
Oh.
So I'm just going to...
Damn, I could have delivered my mum to you.
The interesting thing is, I will have done the same thing myself. I would often be looking at people going, you need some counselling, and family members, friends, I'll just be thinking the same thing until I've let that go, until I've recognised, actually, I cannot fix them. It's not my role. I'm taking on too much responsibility. That's exhausting. And the only thing I can change is myself.
That's right. Exactly right.
So you've started this and we don't even know where we're at.
Yeah, well, I know where it's at. You just deleted the bit that I was going to talk about because we stopped it because the dog was barking, and we might as well have left the dog barking in because we just put all this stuff in there now. So you were talking about the big things, which is great. But this morning, it applies to even the little things. So all sorts of drama at my house the last couple of days with electricity and gas and water. Meter burst. And so there's water everywhere. And the plumber turned up this morning and he went, yeah, your meter's burst. And I've arranged for better not say their name, but the water company to come out. And sure enough, an hour later, this guy turns up and says, your meter's split. Yep, great. So he said, I'm going to put a new one in. So yeah, he does. And then I go back in, I said, I'll be working, can you let me know when we're done? Because the water's off and all of that. And he said, yeah, sure. Okay. And I went back outside about half an hour later, and he wasn't there. He'd just gone, and he'd left a big hole in the dirt, and I'm about to pick up the phone, and I thought, I've got to phone the water company anyway. So I did. I never got to tell them about him. I went back inside. I spent some time trying to use their website.
Yeah.
And I developed software, and it's like it's not working. Maybe they've just had an upgrade or something.
This is sounding like a fun day.
Oh yeah, and it was fun. So anyway, after lots of trying, I phoned their 1300 number. And fortunately, got through quite quickly. Said, I lost my bill, and I wanted them to email a copy of it. And she took my details and said, "Yeah, it's done." I said, "Can I give you some feedback?" And she said, "Sure." So I said, "Look, I develop software for a living, so I know what I'm talking about. And your website is not working. I've tried these 3 things trying to get in this morning, and I couldn't. And I tried it on different browsers, different machines, different networks. So it's definitely not working." And she went, "Oh, okay. Well, if you just stay on the line for a minute, Kevin, I can fix up your account." And I said, "No, it's not me. It's the website." And I was talking to her again, trying to get her to understand. And I suddenly said, "Look, thanks very much for helping me today. That was great. I'm going to go."
So it's interesting because
me wanting to fix the water company. And I just suddenly realised I can't do anything about this.
So it's like you had all this insight and you thought if you shared some of their insight, then maybe they'd take it on.
Yeah, and it just made it very confused. That's what happened.
I think that's true of all of us. I feel like there's many times where I've got all this insight, I've got this understanding, and if the person just listened to me.
And they're not listening.
If they just accepted what I was going to say to them, if they just understood the problem the way I do, then they'll be all right. They'll be okay.
And my experience with being like that, with not being accepting, is that gets bigger and bigger.
Doesn't it?
Until I'm God. And then suddenly I chop my own legs from underneath me and I don't know what I am, but I'm lower than a snake. No, that's not. Lower than a snake's belly.
Oh, okay.
That's right. That's the Australian saying, isn't it?
Something like that.
Something like that.
But it's interesting because if you're seeing yourself as superior, this goes back to this again, then also the other thing happens is then there's people lower than you.
That's right.
And then if people don't accept your advice as you're seeing yourself as superior, then all of a sudden you experience yourself as inferior. I'm useless. I'm no good. All my information is rejected. And then what happens is everyone else is superior. So it almost works against each other and keeps that inferior, superior kind of model, and it doesn't operate in equality and equity.
We learn that in Narcotics Anonymous, and I've never, ever heard anyone put it so succinctly, so clearly and succinctly.
Oh, that's good. To be honest with you, it's what I work with in myself often. And I have grown up as, how do I explain this? I've grown up surviving in the role of a victim, as a victim, and in the role of a victim in a family when there has been high conflict. And what ends up happening, high conflict is the way I'm going to sum it up. What that meant is I was on the tail end of some nasty stuff. So I had to develop some skills. So I learnt how to survive as a victim and a rescuer. And what do you know? I became a counsellor. And the interesting thing is that became very much a part of me. And then that whole letting go of that role over the many, many years of doing that has really given me some insight around what that process actually does. I mean, it's really helpful. It's a defense mechanism of survival, and then it's not. If we keep that victimhood or that victim mentality as an adult, it's not going to serve us. It's that one-upmanship or the one-downmanship. It just doesn't work, and it's using a defense mechanism based in survival for the rest of your life, and it's not helpful.
Yeah, I agree. I got a picture of me sitting in the corner of a room, and that's it. And everything that's going to hurt me, everything is going to hurt me, whether it's physical or not. And
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so a victim, living my life as a victim.
Yeah.
So that's as a little boy, but growing up, I took that with me, and I expected.
Yeah.
If I wasn't behaving or being treated like a victim, then I'd sabotage the situation.
Yep, I can relate to that.
So that I'd become a victim, and then it's horrible, but it is oh so familiar.
Yeah.
So it's comfortable because it's familiar. It's horrible because it's just bloody horrible.
Yeah.
being victimized.
And sabotaging it actually creates the critical or the cruel thing to yourself. So it internalizes it so you don't end up doing it to somebody else, but
Yep.
you do it to yourself.
I end up being able to be a victim
Yeah.
and a persecutor and a rescuer all in my head. Don't need anyone else.
No.
Don't even need to say anything.
I think I'm a very creative victim. I can create victimhood out of any story. Well, I actually caught myself telling a client one time when I was going on a yoga retreat. So I was telling them, I'm going on a yoga retreat this weekend and I haven't been on this kind of thing. I don't go away much because I work very hard, and so I've never done this before. Hear the pool? And it's, yeah. Kevin's doing this thing where it's like a little violin.
Little
playing.
violin. Pour me.
Pour me.
Pour me another drink.
Oh, okay, nice. Well, I was going, pour me, notice me, and please have pity on me because this is my first retreat away at a yoga retreat. And damn it, I was doing this wonderful thing for myself. And it doesn't acknowledge that this is a good thing and a healthy thing and it's okay.
No, the way that you express that it's common to me as a victim. Your face went all sad and you're just disappearing into yourself and your voice is going, oh.
I know.
And that's exactly how it is, standing your ground.
Yeah. The thing that I notice when I'm in victimhood, if I'm in persecutor, rescuer or victim, and there's the three roles that we can all play at times, especially those who've been brought up with trauma or some form of difficulty in their childhood and definitely relationship difficulty.
Wasn't me then.
Not me. I can keep those and that can be quite entrenched as an adult. And I don't remember where I was going with this. What did
sorry,
I
I interrupted. I did interrupt. Okay. Oh, well.
It was something about the three roles that we can play.
And I like the three other roles.
What are the three other roles?
You told me about
Oh, the healthy ones.
the educator.
Yep.
And I can't remember.
Oh, now I remembered what I was going to say.
Go on, off you go.
So if you're in either of those three roles, they push and pull relationship. And I'll often feel it if I'm not in the role but someone else is. There's this pull. Notice me, value me. Or that's if they're in victim, or if they're in rescuer, take my advice. Do the things I say. Or if they're in their persecutor, do what I say. I know what I'm talking about, you don't. So there's that push-pull. And when someone is in a healthy relationship, there's not that push-pull there. Now, we can't control anybody else, so let's go back to our topic. And so
Accepting change.
Well, I can't change anybody's push or pull with me. I can't affect that. I can't do anything. However, what I can do, if I stay healthy and are out of those roles, which is grounded and just taking responsibility for myself, then there's no push-pull. And they can push and pull on me, but if I don't accept it, then they can't stay in the role because my relationship with them won't operate that way. That's a big concept to try and grasp. So, Kevin, you play a role. Maybe we'll bring Yell out, and then I'll keep grounded.
But Yell as a victim.
Or play a role and about something.
Okay.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So why don't you go and play that guitar then?
I'm not going to do that now. Sounds like you might want to.
I don't want to.
Okay.
It's just a guitar.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not the one who plays it, but you're welcome to.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take it away then. I'll take it away and give it to someone else.
It's my guitar, so you can't do that. Or my family's guitar.
I don't know. I don't know. I think you should do more shopping.
Oh, it's a great piece of advice there, except that doesn't fit with me.
Oh, fed up with this conversation. It's not going anywhere.
So to hear that,
Yeah.
so what did you notice about that?
It's impossible to be able to pull you into it.
Yeah.
And I know, I know from being sitting in your therapy room and coming into your room, and to see you for a session, I can remember, and being like that,
Yeah.
well, you wouldn't be distracted.
Yeah.
So I might start talking before you've even sat down. I've sat down and I might start talking and you say, so I'm just going to write you out this receipt. And I'll be like, what the freaking hell is she doing? She needs to be listening to how terrible things are for me. And then you sit down and I'd start again. You say, so Kevin, what would you like to talk about today? And I'd be like, well, are you listening? I've just done a half hour's worth of talking in 2 minutes. And so it would go on until I arrived.
And
My
you
body
sound,
arrived.
I'm listening to you talk about me, and it sounds wonderful. You know, I'm this lovely, grounded person. I have done bucket loads of work to try and get there. It is not simple.
But I know you differently now. So
Yeah,
but when you're in that room, it's not that room, and when you're in that role, you're able to be.
Yeah.
You know, just you told me what it was like once. No, you didn't say that you weren't present. You said something else which struck me. But you're able to be in that role and to remember that you're in that role.
Yeah.
Without putting aside what goes on with you, but not bring it. So when I say, you're not listening to me, you need to sit down. I don't know what your reaction would be, but it might be. Well, it might be what I heard. It might be. Why don't you fuck off?
Well, had I been...
But
Yes.
you didn't do that.
No, okay, good. I didn't, people out there, just so you know.
She doesn't. She doesn't do that. But and it looks like, looking back at it, it looks like quite a feat because it's pretty busy in that room, all the emotions that are going on.
Can be.
And you're just, and you sit down and say, what are we going to talk about today? And I feel like that just throws more petrol on the fire. It's like, blah, 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 or more, blah, 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 blah. And until eventually, what was it? I was going to say my body arrives.
Okay.
And I'm able to tell you what
I
I
actually want those parts of you to come out. I want you to be in some ways reactive so that we can work through what's actually happening. So
And we did.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
feel safe enough to be reactive in my space, that's a good thing because then you can come back down to regulation yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm going to say
works.
this other thing is that if I didn't do that with myself, there's be no way in hell that I'd be able to do that with you then. Because I know that I'd have those parts of myself that would just want to persecute you, would want to persecute me, would say, Janine, you're useless. What the hell are you doing here? Kevin, get a grip. All of those
I
types of
don't
things.
want to do that sometimes with other people.
Of course we do. We all do. However, if we did that and indulge that part of ourselves,
Yeah.
we're staying in persecutory or victim roles, and that's just going to bring out more of that in those people that we're in relationships with.
So what's happened to me? I've got this inner teenager that as we're sitting here talking about it, going, yeah, I still want to do that. But it's no longer damaging. It's now different. So what the hell's happened with that?
Oh, great question.
Because we all have fun with it around here.
I know.
And inside the podcast.
Well-
and some of my friends, are now talking about it.
Yeah.
And Yell seems to be very popular. And yet for me,
Yeah.
that was a dangerous, deadly part of my personality.
Oh, that's such a good question. I think what's happened, I can't know, but we'll have a chat about it. It's like we've named it as a part. Because I think what happens is when people get quite angry, like Yell, they think it's all of them. But
Yeah.
not all of them is that angry. There might be a part of them that's understanding or
Yeah.
a part of them that is loving to the person or to themselves. And so they can get tricked into thinking that it's all of them. Like at those earlier times, I will have thought that maybe you were tricked into thinking that you were all of that angry person?
No, I was always aware that there was a little bit. The Yell would shout at that little bit too.
Okay.
But there would be a little voice there going, "Oh, Kevin, you don't need to do this.
Yeah.
You don't need to be
Well,
so loud and angry."
I think all we did.
What do you mean, all? How do you know that was bloody difficult?
I guess that's what I'm saying. I agree with Yell. Is that we defined that part. We really listened and valued
Until
that
I
part
could do
of
what
Yell.
I just did.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
I'm surprised other people think it's fun too. They must relate to it in some way, otherwise they couldn't possibly have that kind of reaction.
And I don't feel threatened by Yell, because Yell is this part that we've now discussed, we talked about, we value Yell's input, and Yell's actually hasn't got that much power. Still got a voice,
Yeah.
but not that power, and doesn't take over.
It's a part of me that is just a part of me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah.
Yeah.
Not, it's fun, but it's also great in other circumstances. So when I want to stand up for myself, when I feel that I need to stand up, I can use that part of my personality in a really positive way.
Yeah, because I think I have parts of myself that are similar. They don't present as Yell because that's too confronting for me. And I've been quite nervous of anger or aggression and didn't want to be that person, and that hasn't been a good thing in my family growing up. How would I say it? But those angry parts of myself went internal and were more aggressive to me. And so as I've noticed them and valued them, then I don't need to give them as much power anymore as well. And I can just go, is that still there really?
Yeah.
So I will hear it. It will say, "Oh, Janine, you're being demanding. Stop being foolish around that, you idiot." But that doesn't happen nearly as much as it did. And in earlier years before that, it had way too much power.
Yeah, long time ago, I wasn't even aware of those things. They just happened, and I wasn't aware of them. So awareness is the first. We've gone off track, haven't we?
We have.
We've gone
I was just thinking.
way off track.
Well, no.
So far off track, I'm looking to see what we're supposed to be talking about. Accepting change.
I think it's still relevant because we're talking about accepting change in ourselves.
Yeah, we are.
And also...
We'd like to speak about accepting change for all you lot out there listening. This might be a good time to say something that I wanted to say very simply. Like, I talk quite a lot in this podcast about Narcotics Anonymous, and I'm aware that we have an unwritten rule, which is I'm not a poster boy for narcotics. Okay. I'm a member, and I do the best I can every day, but I'm subject to my disease or disease. So if I was to relapse, which I'm pretty sure I won't, but if I was, then I put myself up to be of something of renown for Narcotics Anonymous, then I tarnish their reputation or their integrity, and I would never want to do that. So yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. That sounds important.
That's good.
For many years I've been running groups, and when I've been running them on my own, great, my group runs the way I want it, doing the things I want, and if I make mistakes, I've screwed it up, and so I'm responsible for it. So it's clear in terms of how the group's going to go. But the interesting thing is I've run a lot of groups with a facilitator as well with me. Often when I've run in men's behaviour change programs, it will be a male facilitator, so there'll be a man and myself running the group. And one of the things I really needed to get my head around is when I ran a group, it ran my way, the way I wanted it, with what I understood was clear information. But when I ran a group with somebody else, it wasn't my group anymore, it was our group. That meant that it would run sometimes their way. It was really important that I allowed things to run their way because it was our group. Otherwise, it's my group and I'm trying to take over. And I would have the thoughts that that's wrong. What are you doing it that way? That's not how it goes. And what I had learnt to do in that process was really soothe myself. And then if I had a concern, I could still bring it up. But I had learnt that the only thing I can control is me.
You just did it. You talked about it. Accepting change.
That's right.
Yeah. Wow. Well done.
Even in a professional sense, it's really important that accepting change, the only thing that you can change is yourself, because we're often challenged around that.
Yeah.
Professional, personal,
Professional's a big deal.
Friendship groups, families.
Yeah.
The only thing we can change is ourselves. And I think that that's been some of the most profound stuff that I've done.
Yeah. Working with other people developing software and they come into a project you're already on. I don't like working this way. Oh, okay. We want to work some other way. Yeah, I want to change everything so that we put all of the source code in here like this. Well, that's okay, but we're already doing that on this. No, I don't like that.
Same.
I'm not going to work with that. Oh, okay. Well, what will you do? I'll just keep asking for you to change it, and if you don't, I'll get someone else to change it. And then, all right, you can do that, and I'm going to carry on working.
So that's somebody you've been working with and they want to change the whole thing.
Yeah, they want to change significantly the way that we work on a daily basis, and therefore the way that the software's rolled out, is published. Yeah.
This relationship stuff affects everything that we do.
Yep.
And I think we're in relationship to everything as well as person that we're being with. And so, again, the only thing I keep coming back to is the only thing I can change myself. So that if I'm having a rough day and the computer is not working for me and I'm getting frustrated and angry, me getting frustrated and angry is not going to help the situation. It's not going to help my relationship with the computer.
No.
I've got to calm myself in order for things to go better and recognise the only thing I can damn well change is me, and that's a healthy and good thing, so I can settle myself around it.
But when other people want to change us...
Well, that's a good point.
We can actually ignore it. Just go, we accept that too, but just go, like I just said, okay, no, not going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to work with it. Okay, so what will you do? I'll do all these things. Okay.
In order to do that, you have to give yourself permission to have a different opinion, have a different way of doing things.
Yeah.
And be okay with that.
Yeah, I was okay with it, and it didn't change until after I left.
Okay.
But, true.
If
somebody else, if my boss had said, oh, that's a really good idea, Kevin, let's change it, I would have changed it.
And after you leave, really, if it's in a workplace situation or in any relationship, that's really up to them anyway.
And anyway, in some situations, making a change in a professional, making a change could be a really big deal and cost you a lot of time, a lot of resources.
Yeah.
It needs to be done as part of a discussion. And probably before you start on a large project. Yeah.
Interesting thing you just said there, though. You said that you were okay with that. What did you say?
I'm always okay with it.
No, I meant you said I'm okay with having things go. If someone wants to change you.
Yeah. So I just accept that's how they are.
Yeah.
And basically ignore it.
Well, the interesting thing is I think that what I've done, and I think many people do, is think, oh, I'm wrong and I need to do it their way. I need to think their way.
I used to, yeah.
I have made a mistake, or I'm useless, or some old belief of mine that supports that I've done it wrong and I need to change myself.
Yeah.
And I think that self-acceptance then gives you permission to go, actually, I don't want to change. I like it this way. I do it this way. Now, some people comfortably do that and they don't need that.
Yeah.
I know that that's something that I really needed to work on.
I was out taking photographs for a PR company of a band
Yeah.
somewhere in Melbourne, in a club in Melbourne, and there was two other photographers there taking pictures. I don't know. One of them I know was for a magazine. I don't know. The other one was probably in-house. So the woman who was taking pictures for the magazine, about halfway through the gig, she's standing next to me and she just looked at my camera and the lens and turned to the front again and said, "You're using totally the wrong camera. You should be blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Oh, okay," and just carried on. It's that sort of thing. You know, it's just like, that's not even an issue for me.
Yeah.
I know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah. Would you have found people would have challenged what you were doing in the past and then you would have questioned yourself?
Just going to go there. Yeah, I would have. I would have been like, I might have done something similar. Like, I would have acknowledged her. I would have said, "Oh, okay, I'll have a look at it later." And then I would have. And then I would have gone, "Oh, maybe I should have changed it." Then I could see the before and after. But I'm just confident. There's a few things about what I do. Take photographs and develop software. I'm always totally confident.
Yeah.
So,
So you're saying in those parts of your relationships, you really trust yourself?
and sometimes it's outside of my comfort zone. I'll still trust myself, but I'll go, I need to check something out.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll go and ask somebody else about it.
Yeah.
I'll do some research. I'll do some talking and thinking.
Oh, I still do that, I think.
Long gone are the days when I go, "Okay, I'm a total idiot, a failure."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, those days I can confidently say are long gone for me as well.
People are surprised with me when they find out that I know nothing about mechanics, because anything electronic, I'm okay with it. Whether I know whether there's a manual, whether I know what we're looking at, I'm okay with it. I know I can work out what's going on and possibly fix it. Open the bonnet of a car and I just go, water goes in there, to which my friend once said, "No, the coolant goes in there. You've been putting water in that." "Well, yeah, don't you?" And he just said to me, "So you don't look after this car?" "No, I take it to a mechanic." "Yeah, but if it broke down somewhere?" "No, I'd be stuck." "You change a wheel?" "Oh yeah, I could change a wheel. That's about it."
I know a little bit about cars, not too much.
But I don't want to.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've been a mechanic's daughter, so I was quite interested in what my father was doing as I was growing up. And you've just reminded me of a story when I was working in a men's behaviour change program. And at the end of the program, I think at this stage it was 22-week programs.
Woo!
Yeah, not long. And so the men had to promptly put up with me for 22 weeks. Those groups were mandated. And this one particular fellow at the end of the group, I think we were sharing some things around cars or mechanics. He said to me, "Oh, you know, Janine, when I first met you, I thought you were an educated bitch." And I actually said to him, "Oh, I've never been called educated before." I was so grateful that someone had noticed or thought that I was educated, because I'd really struggled with education. I'd done really poorly at school until I recognised that I'd needed a little bit of support. And after I'd gone through some process of that, then I did uni and I did well with some extended help. So anyway.
But he called you an educated bitch, not an educated person.
Oh yeah, there was that.
Yeah, there was that.
But he changed his opinion, so...
Oh, okay. That's good. It's good that he changed his opinion.
I think we can all go into places where we're vulnerable and be all judgy and shit on everybody else. And that's the way we can start out until we start to relax and feel safe. And then those judgments start to fall away. Perhaps.
Being out of my comfort zone is a sure way
Yeah.
to feel defensive.
Yeah, that's right.
But being aware of that means that I don't have to behave sillily.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I think we've...
I think we've changed everything.
No, I'm not that naive.
And Janine and I have just posted how we're doing on various Facebook pages, so you can all have a look. And I was amazed to see that we got 5 million followers now. Well, it had a 5 in it and some zeros.
I think it was 500 downloads.
It's close to 5 million.
Okie dokie. Yeah, okay.
All right.
Some people are delusional, but we'll just go with that, you know. So
Or denial.
Denial?
Don't even know I am lying. Denial.
there's that as well.
Yeah.
Look, thanks for listening.
Listen some more.
We've been talking about accepting change.
Yeah.
It's one of those topics that, again, we'll talk lots about in the future.
Or we won't.
Or we won't. Or you'll have an opinion on it. And we'll catch you soon.
Yep. Bye-bye. Thanks
See you later.
for being here.
Thanks so much.